setting the stage for a deal with China. What does that mean? Has the president spoken directly with Xi?
I don't have anything to read out on a direct talk between the president and President Xi, but we will continue to keep you updated.
And Secretary Bessent reportedly today told investors that this trade standoff with China he expects will be de-escalating soon because, as he described it, reportedly the situation is unsustainable. Is the president considering taking steps to de-escalate the situation?
Again, I just read you words directly from the President of the United States. Those are moments ago. That's where his head is at right now.
Well, that's where the president's head is at, and we know talk is still cheap, and that's about the only thing that's cheap out there. Welcome back to another episode of Bowls on the Table, where it's time to eat with financial fundamentals. I am your host, Chef Erol Pearl at DBCHEFTV. Please make sure to like and share this video. Also subscribe to the channel so when we go live, you never miss an episode of Bowls on the Table. Tonight, we're going to be talking about U.S. versus China trade war, and our financial fundamental this evening is tariffs. So we're going to see if we can peel back some of the layers of these things and just try to bring some clarity to everyone. And before we do that, let's see what's happening in the markets. So we have, y'all, we got the Dow Jones Industrial Average right now. The Dow closed today up at 2.6 year over year. It's still at about 2.5 right now. So 401ks and things like that, still up about 2.5%. The S&P today closed up 2.5 year over year. Still looking at 5.5%. So it's still up from last year. And then we got the NASDAQ closing today up at 2.7. And year over year, still up 5.5%. So not too shabby right now. Even though the dollar store is becoming no longer the dollar store. So I don't know what these 5 and 2s and 3% will do. But got to do something. So let's look over here at the Bitcoin right quick. And let's see, Bitcoin today. What is Bitcoin doing right now? Bitcoin is at 93,000. Okay. So let's look at what that is. That's up 40%. And then I think just on Easter, let's see, we were at 85,000. So almost up $10,000. So keep going Bitcoin. Keep going Bitcoin. Shout out to Bitcoin. What else we have here? We got to go check out gold. Gold was down about 2% today, which gold is still at all-time highs. So that's 42% year over year. So if you had any investments in gold, they are doing well. Also, let's take a look here at silver. And silver was down also about 1%. But year over year, if you had any investments in silver, silver is still crushing it this year. Slightly off its all-time highs, but everything has pulled back right now, but it's still looking good going forward. And then our old friend crude oil down today about 1.5%. And year over year, the trend is if it's drill baby drill, then that price is definitely coming down a little bit more. So yeah, that's what's happening in the markets, y'all. So moving on to this U.S. versus China trade war. This is becoming one of those things that will affect everyone. And I don't think that people realize the extent of it. But tonight what we're going to do is we have a few videos that we're going to show. And the links will be in the description. We're not going to show them in full length, but we're just going to go over and review some of the things because I think we see things here. But a lot of times we're a lot too busy with our life going on and people have responsibilities. So, so you don't get to see everything that's happening. And then, you have your time for entertainment and things like that. So this may not be something that you actually factor in. We see things around us with people losing jobs and prices going up and inflation. And it isn't always explained to us, in detail. We don't always get the media that gives you that in-depth detail so you can kind of be prepared, so you can prepare yourself for what's coming, or so you can navigate better, while you're going through it. Because that's really what we have to do is just learn ways to navigate through it. And let's get into this video here. I'm only going to play a little bit of this. But this is a video here of what's going on with the tariff war right now between Temu and Shein. I know a lot of us purchase things from Temu and Shein and other places that produce these things, mostly in China, just like everything else that's in our household. So take a look at this, because I'm sure we don't get this information right here on the regular news.
There is only one more week left on Temu's full management in the US. If you don't believe it, come argue with me.
特姆的销量下滑了30%。
Temu's sales have dropped by 30%, and Google has suspended their ads. You'll notice that as soon as the US raised tariffs, it feels like the world became quieter.
最近 Temu 的单量下降了很多。
Recently, Temu's orders have dropped a lot, nearly by half for us. I think there are three main reasons. First, full management has been affected by T86. Many products are being dumped at low prices, trying to clear stock before May the 2nd. So some product sales are definitely impacted. Secondly, lately, Americans have been stocking up on essentials, like small home appliances from China, and even a box of eggs is being sold for $5. So non-essential items aren't being bought urgently. The third and most important point is that Temu's ads were taken down on Google, which has had a huge impact. Before, nearly half of Temu's sales came from Google search, and now that the ads are down, it's likely that the impact won't be felt until May 2nd.
The man is referring to the impact of the US Trump administration's cancellation of the small international parcel tariff exemption, which has affected Chinese e-commerce platform Temu, a subsidiary of Pinduoduo. T86 is a classification under Section 321 of the 1930 Tariff Act by U.S. Customs, which exempts low-value items typically worth under $800 from tariffs. The exemption aims to simplify the import process, benefiting cross-border e-commerce by speeding up customs clearance, reducing cost, and improving efficiency. On April 9, President Trump signed an executive order that starting May 2nd permanently ends the tariff exemption for small parcels from China and Hong Kong valued under $800, also known as a de minimis exemption. The tariff rate on these parcels will rise as high as 120%. The tax rate for parcels from China and Hong Kong will triple, increasing from 30% to 90% of the goods value. Importers will now need to pay a tariff of 90% of the goods value, or $75, which will increase to $150 after June 1st. In response, China has taken countermeasures, causing Trump to significantly raise the tariff rates. From May 2nd to June 1st, the cost of postal parcels entering the US will rise to $100 per item, and after June 1st, the cost will increase to $200 per item instead of the previously announced $150.
So that right there is a lot. I don't know if anybody is aware of that and the effects that will have on the things that we purchase, but that right there explains it. I mean, we can run it back one more time. I think we will, because it deserves to be ran back just a little bit, just to dissect a little bit of this right here. Okay, so
1930 Tariff Act by US Customs, which exempts low-value items typically worth under $800 from tariff.
Okay, so that means a lot of the dollar store items, a lot of the cheaper items, you know, the low value items. And this is why we can expect that if something doesn't happen, a deal isn't reached, you know, that we will see those things. A lot of the cheaper items that we have at Walmart, that they provide, that Target provides, that oh man, I mean, you name it. You know, Home Depot has a lot of items made in China. So, I mean, all of those things that we could see that you could possibly go into the store and pay $800 for, you know, all of those things would double in price. You know, not everything, but the stuff made in China, absolutely. So this is what this potentially looks like, and T86 was the classification under Section 32 of the 1930 Tariff Act by U.S. Customs. And right now, it's saying that the Commander-in-Chief is going to suspend that. So, you know, whatever the reason is for it being suspended, you know, or maybe it's just a tactic, maybe it's just a tool. I don't know, because I don't know who that hurts more. You know, I will really have to wait and see the outcome. But I mean, hey, I would be a person that has to pay more for things as well. Like no one's exempt from that. So for things under $800, you know, look around your house. A lot of us have a lot of things that are under $800 in our home.
The exemption aims to simplify the import process, benefiting cross-border e-commerce by speeding up customs clearance, reducing cost, and improving efficiency. On April 9, President Trump signed an executive order that, starting May 2nd, permanently ends the tariff exemption for small parcels from China and Hong Kong valued under $800. Also known as a de minimis exemption, the tariff rate on these parcels will rise as high as 120%. The tax rate for parcels from China and Hong Kong will triple, increasing from 30% to 90% of the goods value. Importers will now need to pay a tariff of 90% of the goods value, or $75, which will increase to $150 after June 1st. In response, China has taken countermeasures, causing Trump to significantly raise the tariff rates. From May 2nd to June 1st, the cost of postal parcels entering the US will rise to $100 per item.
That right there, the cost of postal parcels, you know, like that's different, because that would mean that just ordering something from China could cost $100. Just flat, just whatever you order, you know. Can you imagine what you buy from Temu now, and you don't even spend $100, but you have to pay $100 to get it?
And after June 1st, the cost will increase to $200 per item instead of the previously announced $150.
Okay, so that's what we're preparing for. That's what we want everyone to get prepared for. And you know, it's coming if some type of resolution doesn't happen, some type of resolve isn't reached. And as of right now, there haven't been any talks. As of a press conference this morning, there hasn't been any talks. But there is a desire. It's in the air. But May 2nd is approaching, and June 1st is approaching as well. So just be mindful of this, y'all. You know, when you going out here, make sure you have a budget. Make sure you're paying attention to these things. Another thing that is very tragic when it comes to this this tariff war is the loss of jobs. And a lot of times we see it here, but we don't see how it affects the opposition, I guess. I guess in this case, it would be China would be the opposition, or who we are negotiating with, the other negotiating partner. I'm not going to use opposition because we should be trying to work together. And I think opposition, I'm not sure, gives a negative type of feel to it. But people lose jobs, families suffer to pay bills. It gets tough. People have to work 2 or 3 jobs, things like that. And we see this stuff happening. There's less shipping going on. So there's less merchandise coming at the docks because the demand is low. People aren't spending on those things that they used to. So that it all has a chain reaction. It all has an effect to where the truck drivers now have less freight to move out because the stores aren't ordering it because they don't have customers buying these things, So we've seen that since pre-pandemic, well, post-pandemic, we've seen this, and with the inflation and the cost of things going up, like it's all part of this process. So the next video I'm going to share is we're going to take a look at this video from China so we can see what their citizens are actually experiencing on their end.
The cream hasn't spoiled. Come on, hurry up and eat. It's so good.
2 women were filmed scavenging cake scraps from a trash bin, eating as they went and repeatedly exclaiming how delicious it was. While eating, they continued to dig deeper into the trash, occasionally letting out excited screams as if they had made a new discovery. Another video shows the same women searching through a neighborhood trash bin in the early morning to find snacks, addressing the recent shortage of snacks at home.
No need to pick and choose, just pack it all in. They are all really good. And look, there's no big packaging. Everything's in small packages. Also, these Liu Liu Mei snacks, aren't they great? Why not take them? I really like these.
At this point, a man walked by, filming the 2 women as they dug through the trash.
Did y'all hear what he said? He said filming the 2 women that as they dug through the trash, y'all. That's trash they digging through. Okay? So just take one time to thank your creator and thank yourself for caring about yourself enough to do the things that's necessary. And that being able to have an opportunity, you have it. Because these folks eating out the trash. Like here in the US, we don't really see a lot of people eating out the trash. We have, social services, we have soup kitchens, we have missions, we have, drives, pantries, food pantries. We have a lot of stuff that we have for each other here, to where we don't have, to where this isn't an everyday occurrence. Like you just go up the road, you go to the gas station to get something, you see people eating out the trash can. You go to the grocery store, you see people in the back, waiting in the evening for them to throw away what they throwing away, So we continue with this. This is in China. This is what's going on with 200 million people facing unemployment. 200 million people facing employment. And yes, they do have a significantly larger population than ours. All right. But this is an effect of the trade war as well. When they don't have those little belt buckles factories to make that stuff, when they don't have the postcard factories and all these little places that we see that no one that we know works at. When we see when those things go away, when we stop going to the dollar store and consuming any little knickknacks, any of them things, when we stop going here and we stop buying paintbrushes and, just think about those things. Those are the factories that they work at, that Commander-in-Chief Donald Trump is saying, he wants to bring that work back to the U.S. but it takes time though. And then there is a fallout because when we get the jobs, somebody else doesn't have them, you know. And I'm not saying who's right or wrong in this, you know. What we're doing is just examining what's going on here and there too, because it's always two sides, but we don't always get to see it.
抓到2个正在捡垃圾的人。
Caught 2 people picking through trash. What are you looking for?
A lot of food. There are even energy biscuits. A lot of them are not expired.
Isn't this your favorite salted chicken?
Yeah, I'm already drooling.
Just take the whole pack.
No, the bottom is trash.
There's trash mixed in.
Look, we've got a big bag already.
You're taking it all back, right?
Yep, just picking it up right now. If you were any later, the sanitation workers will be here.
The cleaners probably started around 4 a.m., right?
Looks like it's good to go home, a little late after all.
Later, the man appeared to join them, helping the women search for items to take home. Here's a carpet. It's really new. Is the bottom a bit damp? Shouldn't be too bad. What's this? A bag of rice. Free rice. This can be used. Let's try to grab that rice. Wow, there's even a Snickers bar. Good thing we're going home late today. We were out at 4 a.m. picking through trash. Wow, so much stuff. It's like we're stocking up. This should last us a month. One of the women commented that there hadn't been any good snacks at home recently, and she didn't expect to find so much that night. Who would have thought that it would no longer be just people with disabilities or the homeless searching for food in the trash?
Now, that right there, that comment, he said, who would think that it would no longer be people with disabilities or just homeless searching through the trash? Now, he made that comment like that's a norm. And we don't even treat our people with disabilities like that in America, you know? So that's something to observe if he was accurate in that statement, that you can compare now this unemployment and, you know, people who would typically be out at the shops and restaurants and things because they can't, you know, that the disabled and homeless would be, you know, the only people in their society who would be destitute. So that's interesting. That was an interesting statement, but I'm gonna go ahead and continue to play this. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section below about this video, because, you know, we don't really get a chance to see what's going on in China.
Now, even young, able-bodied people are doing it. This shift can be attributed to the worsening economy and rising unemployment. Many young people are unable to find jobs after graduating, while numerous middle-aged workers are laid off and forced to take on delivery or ride-hailing jobs. Meanwhile, private companies continue to close down. In Guangdong, a business owner shared a video discussing the unemployment situation she had encountered.
Do you know how many people are unemployed in Zhanjiang? Nowadays, my small company had to fill 5 positions, and we received nearly 1,000 resumes every week. I was really shocked. I realized that the job market in Zhanjiang is really bad right now. A while ago, we moved to a new office and hired a removalist. The guy said that most of the jobs he's handled in the last 2 years are from companies that went bankrupt. Some companies, many people were working in the morning, and by the afternoon they received notice of layoffs and the team was disbanded.
Doesn't that sound like similar to here? You know, we saw all of these stories of people going to work with Doge and the government layoffs and different companies, different corporations. We saw that same thing happening here, right? Where people went to work in the morning, or they got emails and were told not even to show back up. So the same thing is happening here, you know, that is happening there. One thing that they did say was a jewel. So they said that the young lady said that she had to get a moving company, and the moving company said that the majority of their business was companies that went out of business. You know, they had been moving. So I don't know, they could be telling you that a moving company is a recession-proof type of business, you know? So that might be a little jewel to somebody out there. You want to start a moving company, you know, we always looking at how we can still capitalize on things, how we can still benefit even in a bad environment, you know? So people may be bankrupt and have to move and have to downsize, but they still need a moving company. They still need those tools to be able to do that. So that's something to think about right there.
There's nothing we can do. The economy is bad and the performance is poor. A lot of people used to look down on delivery and courier jobs because they're tiring and not glamorous. But now many people in Zhanjia are fighting to do those jobs, and a lot of women are doing them too. There's no choice. Life has to go on. And at least it's better than street vending. The street market might look busy, but there's a lot of hustle and bustle. And in the end, the money you make is less than what you would earn working for someone else.
I know one thing I could say is in America, we don't see people outside like that with the cooler trying to sell anything into the summertime. So not even in the winters, up north where you have the winter states, you know, they don't have. Now you go somewhere like Florida, you're gonna see that off, you know, you get off the highway, get off 95, somebody selling you something at the exit. So that's more common. But you know, it's sunshine down there all the time. But in the north, northwest, northeastern states, you know, even in the south, certain parts, you don't see people really outside like that trying to street vend, unless the weather is accommodates.
So if you can get a stable job where you can get paid on time every month and have weekends off, I really suggest you cherish it.
Man, she said a lot right there. I'm gonna run that back right there.
So if you can get a stable job where you can get paid on time every month and have weekends off, I really suggest you cherish it.
Yeah. So what she's saying is be thankful, you know, that you're not one of those people that have to be dealing with those other situations, you know, eating out of the trash can and, you know, wondering where your next meal is going to come from. So let's get into today's financial fundamental, tariffs.
Tariffs or customs duties are taxes imposed on foreign goods and services. In addition to providing a country with additional revenue, tariffs offer protection to domestic producers. Imported items become more expensive, allowing businesses at home to become more competitive with their pricing. For example, a manufacturer in country A can produce computers for $900 each. However, its sales are struggling because a competitor in country B, a developing economy with lower wages, can produce a similar product for only $800. In response, country A imposes a 25% tariff that raises the cost of imported machines to $1,000. Most economists warn against excessive tariffs for two main reasons. First, they can lead to a trade war, as foreign governments tend to respond with duties of their own. This effectively closes international markets for domestic companies. Critics also argue that tariffs make domestic industries less efficient. With decreased competition from foreign businesses, they have less incentive to find cheaper, better ways of making a product. As a result, consumers pay more than they would if there was a level playing field. In general, tariffs have lost their influence in recent years, with a number of major economies adopting free trade policies with each other. For example, the North American Free Trade Agreement, or NAFTA, eliminated tariffs on most items traded between the U.S., Canada, and Mexico. The World Trade Organization plays a key role in making sure that tariff policies are transparent and lawfully implemented. In addition to helping countries negotiate trade agreements, the organization settles disputes over tariffs and other related matters to ensure fairness.
Yep. So y'all can head on over to Investopedia. And if you want to learn more about tariffs and you want to check that out, a couple of things that they said, they mentioned NAFTA. Okay. And one thing about NAFTA is NAFTA has been changed. Okay, and this is right off the United States trade, free trade agreements, or for trade agreements, USTR.gov. And the NAFTA has been changed to the Mexico-Canada trade agreement. What is it? It has a new acronym, USMCA. That's what it's called. Okay, it's called the NAFTA is now the USMCA. Okay, so when you hear NAFTA and things like that, that's why people will say, "Oh, we don't belong to NAFTA anymore." You know, NAFTA got suspended or whatever, but it was actually they modernized it, so it was just, you know, the agreement was restructured. But here it is right here, and the link will be in the description, so you can go and actually read what it is in depth and what it encompasses, because, you know, May 2nd is coming, you know, when we hear about what we're actually doing with Mexico and China, June 1st is relative to what the tariffs will look like with those countries. Also, we want to share with you what the World Trade Organization is, and that the USA has been a World Trade Organization member since 1 January of 1995. Okay, so this is right here on the WTO website.org, and we will have a link to this as well in the description. And I want to go back over tariffs. We want to talk about tariffs real quick. We're going to go through a little bit of some tariff knowledge. We're going to go through a little bit of tariff knowledge real quick. Let's pull this up here. So we have, what is a tariff? Most countries are limited by their natural resources. So what are natural resources? Things that we grow, oil, soybeans, corn, silver, what else? What do they call those things? Rare earth minerals, uranium, you know, wheat grain, fertilizers. I mean, all of these things that come out of the ground, that they produce, wine, you know, that if they have vineyards in Italy, France, they, you know, produce grapes, tons and tons of grapes. And they make great wine and champagne and things like that. So all of these goods, they trade with other countries to get what their population needs and demands. However, trade isn't always conducted in a amenable manner between trading partners. Okay. And that's, you know, amenable is like, you know, cordial or kind, polite. Policies, geopolitics, competition, and many other factors can make trading partners unhappy. So one of the ways governments deal with trading partners they disagree with is through tariffs. A tariff is a tax imposed by one country on the goods and services imported from another country to influence it, raise revenues, or protect competitive advantages. So we just want to go here real quick to understanding tariffs just a little bit more. Key point to understand right here is that a tariff affects the exporting country because consumers in that country that impose that tariff might shy away from imports due to the price increase. With things coming here, people will say, okay, you know what, those things have gone up in price, so you're going to cut back. And that's what they're explaining right there. And then they go on to say, however, if the consumer still chooses the imported product, then the tariff has essentially raised the cost to the consumer in another country. So we are the consumers, y'all. And that's why this is so important to pay attention to. I'll put this link here also in the description, so that way if you want to read up more on the tariffs, you can, so you can see specifically how they are applied to the things that we consume, and it gives a history. I'm not going to go into all of that, but I just wanted to present this and show, everyone that no one is exempt from the tariff war. It's something that we should not be taking lightly. It's something that we should all be paying attention to, because the majority of our things that we use in our household and daily activity do come from China. And this will significantly affect all of us. So I hope something here was helpful for you today. And I thank everybody for watching. Make sure to like and share this video. Also leave a comment in the chat down below. And I want all of you to have a peaceful, positive, and productive your week. And I will definitely see you again next time on Bowls on the Table. Peace.